In this week's episode, we are going to discuss a topic I get asked a lot by clients, and that is, what is your process and what's the beginning? What's the first step in your process? Well, the first step in our process is an appointment called a fact finder. And it's exactly what it sounds like. We're not talking about pitching companies. We're not talking about pitching rates. We're talking about you and what it is you need for your retirement and coming up with a plan. We are going to discuss what happens in that fact finder appointment and how it can help you make a plan for retirement and how we use it and how it goes both ways. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's roll.
Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with your host, certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood. Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author of Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success, member of the exclusive Ed Slott Master Elite IRA Advisor Group, and founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim uses an education-first approach with clients nationwide to ensure they understand their choices in planning their own safe money retirement. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and asset protection and growth strategies. And now, from the Safe Money Retirement Studio in Johnson City, Tennessee, your host, Tim Wood.
So what is a fact finder appointment? What the heck does that mean? And what is your process in Safe Money Retirement? What's it going to look like? So let's go ahead and get started by talking about the fact finder appointment. In our process, that is step one. That is always the first step that we meet with a client and find out where they are. We can't figure out where we're going to go until we know really where we are at the time. That's what the fact finder is for. That we're not talking about what you need to do because we don't know what you need to do yet. 100% of the fact finder is about you, and that's what we're going to get into today. But first, do you already have your copy of Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success? If not, why not? We will send you a copy absolutely free with no charge and no obligation so you can make a plan that works specifically for your situation. In this book, you're going to learn what options there really are and what you can do to help yourself plan your own safe money retirement. Give us a call right now. We'll send you a copy absolutely free. It's 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233, or just log right onto our website at safemoneyretirement.com and register for your book there. So the fact finder. The fact finder is 100% focused on making a plan based on where we are today and looking forward 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years into the future and making sure that we are making concrete plans. That's what the fact finder is about. And I'm going to go into a little more details about exactly what we do in the fact finder, but I want to start by saying this. The fact finder not only is you interviewing me and interviewing Safe Money Retirement and getting to know us, it's also us interviewing you. Because there have been times, believe me, there's been multiple times where I've told a client for one reason or another, we're not a good fit for you. So it's a two-way interview. That's what the fact finder appointment is. So we are looking at where you are, where you want to go, but we're also getting to know each other and making sure that we feel like we can help you and you feel like you can trust us to help you. So that's really what the fact finder is. Now, as far as the nuts and bolts of what a fact finder is, few things that we always look at. Thing number one, expenses. Where are your expenses at really right now? You wouldn't believe how many people I talk to have no idea. Oh, we're fine. We're making the bills. Okay, well, we need a number. We need you to take the time and go back and look the last month, the last 3 months. Some customers do the whole last year. And find out what are your expenses, really, with everything, with charitable giving, with going out to eat, with paying taxes every year on your property. Literally, with everything that you're doing, what are your expenses? We need that number because obviously when we are figuring out how much income you need in retirement, Thing number one is you got to have enough to cover your expenses. So we've got to know where your expenses are. If you're not quite retired yet, we need to know where your expenses are. And then we're going to have a discussion about how do we think that's going to change once you do retire. And what's going to happen a year after you retire, 10 years after you retire, 30 years after you retire, and figure out what we need to do. But we've got to have that starting point. We've got to have your expenses right now, and we need all of it. Everything that you're spending money on, no matter what, we need that. That's step number one. Step number two is, again, let's figure out how much income do you need. Some people just want enough income to cover their expenses. Some people want an extra $3,000 a month. I had one lady that wanted an extra $8,000 a month. Well, if you've got enough assets, we can make that happen. So we need to figure out where your expenses are, because that's going to be the minimum that you need. Figure out what your target is. Then the next thing we're going to discuss is long-term inflation, long-term care, health concerns, things like that. What are we going to do when you need more income in the future? Then we step back and look at your sources of guaranteed income, not IFCOM. Not, oh, I've got this account and I'm just going to start pulling 4% out and hope I don't outlive it. No, that's not the way that we do planning. If that's what you want to do, and some people like doing that. If you do, we're not for you. That's fine. But what we are going to do is we're going to sit down and make a concrete plan. And you can't do that using IFCOM. You've got to use guaranteed income. So we look at your guaranteed income sources. That's going to include Social Security. Now, could that go down in the future? Yes. And that's why we look at some of these income plans to offset Social Security going down or inflation going up or whatever. But we look at where it's going to be either now when you've got it on, or what it's going to be at 62, 67, 70. Whenever you're going to turn it on, we look at those numbers. So we know what your income is. Other income sources could be pensions, could be spousal maintenance, could be rental properties. There's a lot of different things, but income, things that are going to constantly pay you until, for some reason, if you intentionally turn it off, it's going to pay you. Once we have that down, then we go through, do you already own any annuities of any kind? Do you own any life insurance of any kind? Do you have long-term care? How does that work? Do you own multiple properties? Do you have a mortgage on your property? And then we go into asset sources. What do you have for 401ks, IRAs, Roths, money market accounts, CDs, all of this stuff, gold. I mean, anything that you've got, brokerage accounts, we look at all of that and put all of that down on the form. Now, once we've got that all done, the end of the fact finder is making a plan. Okay, so we see we've got this in expenses, but in Social Security, you're only going to have this, so we're going to need an income plan here, or some long-term income plans. Or you might just want growth with no chances of losses once you're in retirement because of your time horizon, because you don't have all that time to make up the losses. Or you might, there's so many ors, I can't go into all the different ors, but that's the end of the fact finder appointment, is really sitting down and figuring out what is it that our team needs to look for you. Since we're independent, since we're certified financial fiduciaries, we can look at everything that is in the independent marketplace in your state to find whatever is going to be the best fit with the best top-rated company for whatever we find in the fact finder. And that's the second part of the process, is we just get back together and show you what we found. But in the fact finder, it is a two-way conversation. It's a two-way interview, and we're only talking about you and figuring out what we need to look for to give you the best chance to have your own safe money retirement.
We all know that friend who's retired and still has to work. The one we've said we won't end up like, working till we die. But are you sure you're prepared? Hi, it's Glenn Beck, and I want to introduce you to Tim Wood. He is the owner of Safe Money Retirement. He's a certified financial fiduciary, and he makes sure that his clients aren't going to be that guy. Tim can help you know you'll have enough guaranteed income to cover you and your spouse for as long as either of you live, and protect your money from the next market crash while it grows. Tim's helped hundreds of families know that they have a plan they can count on. You know I don't just trust anyone. Do your own homework with Tim Wood. Go to safemoneyretirement.com/Beck or call Tim. See how Tim can help protect what you've worked so hard for all those years. A safe retirement. Go to safemoneyretirement.com/Beck or call Tim and protect your money from the next market crash while it grows.
In this week's case file, we are going to look at the story of Bruce and Kelly. Bruce was absolutely one of my favorite clients I have ever had. Kelly was awesome too. Bruce was a Navy SEAL. And you want to talk about having some cool stories and just being a really cool guy. Not only did he, have a good career in the Navy, once he got out of the Navy, he worked another 20 something years for a company. So he had multiple retirements, and so did Kelly. Kelly had retirements too. So they had Social Security, he had government military retirement, and then they had multiple, each one of them had pensions. So they had multiple pensions. Point being, they had plenty of income. They almost had too much income, plenty of income, did not need income, at least not for the foreseeable future. What they did not want, because they had big piles of money in TSPs, 401ks, IRAs, those kind of things. What they did not want is they did not want to see it lost to the next market crash, which Bruce felt was coming soon. Whether you agree with him or not is immaterial. He wanted to make sure that the money that were in these accounts, which right now were subject 100% to market risk, take that risk totally off the table. So what did we do for them? Again, they don't need income. For the foreseeable future, they don't need income. So what we got them into, and we actually did multiple plans, some 5-year plans and some 10-year plans, but he didn't even want anything that he can reallocate. He didn't even want anything that had any growth that had anything to do with the market. He wanted to know how much he was going to get for how long. Kind of like a CD, it's a product called a MYGA, multi-year guaranteed annuity. If you've got a copy of my book, I've got a whole section in there about it. But basically, they are a set rate for a set period of time. So what we did is we kind of staggered them. We did some for 5 years, we did some for 10 years. So then at the end of 5 years, he's going to have this pot of money, and we're going to know how much it grew because it's true compounding every year for 5 years at a set percentage. Those percentages change daily. So on those type of products, we literally, when you're ready to go, we pull up the search engine and we say, okay, well, today, here's the top company for what you're looking to do. They've got different withdrawal options, and there's different things. So we have to, laser in on the one that's right. But we look at that every single day, and that's where we decide which one we're going to go with, which company, because these are all top-rated companies. So that's what we did for them. We got them into multiple plans, like I said, some 5-year and some 10-year, but growing at a really good percentage, no chances of losses, no fees, and the products that he chose, you can withdraw some of the money, which is the interest. So if he ever decided he did want a little more income, he can take the interest. But here's kind of the end of the story. They, right now they don't need any income. So that's why we're just doing the growth plans. But who knows, they might need income in 5 years. They might need income in 10 years. Well, they've got this money that's going to mature in 5 years or 10 years, and we can then do something with them with that money for an income plan if we need to. So in 5 years, if they do need more money, income-wise, we can take that money when it matures out of that growth plan that's grown at the set amount for the set period of time. We can take that money out of that and move it into an income plan that's going to pay them forever if they need it. If not, we'll just roll it into another growth plan and keep it going. Same thing with the 10-year plans. And we can stagger these however you want to, but that's what we did for them. They left so happy because they knew that they could turn things on in the future and change it over to income if they need to. But right now, there's no fees, there's no chance of losses. They know the percentage that they're getting, and it was really nice percentage. They knew what the growth was going to be because we looked at a compounding calculator, and I could tell them exactly, on $100,000 growing at this percentage for this amount of time, here's how much it'll be if you don't touch it. Absolutely thrilled with what they got, and they left really, really happy and really content with their choice. Now, how does this relate to you? How this relates to you is possibly you're in the same situation. Maybe you've got plenty of income. Maybe you've got between Social Security. I had a client recently that both the husband and wife made the absolute maximum and are getting the maximum Social Security. They're going to make 6 figures just on Social Security between the two of them when they retire. They don't need income. And of course, with that, you can imagine they don't have really any bills. They don't need income. We need to sit down and figure out what it is for you specifically that you need. If you need income, great, let's get you income. If you don't, do you need just growth that you can maybe turn into income later? Do you need long-term care? Do you need something with a life insurance benefit that's going to be left, to whoever you name as your beneficiary? Whatever it is that you need, we need to make a holistic plan for you. It may just be what Bruce did. It may just be a growth with no chance of losses, and you know what the rate is, and you don't have to even think about it. You just know my money's going to be this in 5 years. I don't have to think about it. That's a really good feeling, especially in retirement. But sitting down with someone and being able to determine what the best plan is for you, that's what the Fact Finder is all about. That's what you need to take from this today is you need to sit down with someone and have them focused on you and listen to you and your concerns. What's keeping you up at night? What are you worried about in retirement? And coming up with a concrete plan to help you overcome those fears. Well, I'm about out of time, and I would like to thank you for listening to the Safe Money Retirement Show. If you're serious about your financial future, give me a call, and together we'll get your retirement savings on the fast track to accumulate while reducing exposure to market loss. Thanks for listening, and until next time at the same time, I'm Tim Wood reminding you to stay safe so you can step into a secure future.
You've been listening to the Safe Money Retirement Show with your host, Tim Wood. Find out how to contractually guarantee that your income in retirement is guaranteed lifetime income and not if-come. Avoid any future market losses, plan for the potential of long-term care, and make wise planning choices so you can have the retirement that you deserve. Call us now for your free copy of Tim's best-selling book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. Our toll-free number is 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Or log on to our site at safemoneyretirement.com for more information or to request your free book. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you online at safemoneyretirement.com. The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step toward protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified licensed insurance professional. It's important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.